What's up, guys? Capital Allocation channel here, back with another market update. Before I start on this update, I want to show you guys a clip of something I've seen over the last week regarding health issues, different parasites, thing to watch out for. I think looking out for your health is extremely important, and it's easy to lose track when investing and focusing on the markets, investing, all of that, and lose track of your health. And I think that's a mistake. So I just want to bring this information to you guys. I think it's really important. If you're not interested, feel free to skip to the market update.
Lyda Madman has internationally high level of trust, and in the late phase of her life, she felt based on the tests, the direct microscopy tests that she used with a particular stain that she developed to make Lyme spirochetes visible in the blood, she felt that the penetration in the US population is nearing 100%. That means everybody has it, but not everybody is sick with it. And I'm not subscribing to one theory or another, but certainly amongst the patients that come through my office, sit in the waiting room and come into my room, most of them turn out sooner or later to be positive testing for Borrelia burgdorferi, many of them for Babesia, many of them for Bartonella, and Mycoplasma and everything else that comes with it. So I do believe that post-mortem, Lyda Madman is going to be redeemed and is going to be found correct in her observation. And it could be explained only with two things. One, a mutation of the spirochetes, or one of the yet invisible co-infections or opportunistic infections. You know, Steve Fry suspects a protozoal organism, FL 1953. Other researchers, Joe Boroscano, suspects the XMRV virus. We don't know for sure, but we know for sure that the exposure to the electromagnetic fields that we are undergoing right now is insane, and it's driving the growth of the bugs. There's several Russian research papers on that shows that. And then we need to treat the mold in the patient, and we need to treat it in the home. Treating it in the home is most important. And here comes the most important other thing, and that's the electrosmog. We know that the mold in the home gets by a factor of hundreds of times more virulent if it is exposed to microwave from incoming cell phone radiation, from wireless internet, from baby monitors, from alarm systems in the house, and so and from the cordless phone. There's one particular nasty parasite I want to mention that's called the lungworm in dogs. It's called the lungworm, as it made the transition into humans. It's one of the roundworms. It's called Varistrongylus klapphoui. Larry Klapphow is the biologist who discovered that one, and it's in over 80% of the chronic fatigue patients that's present.
All right, let's go ahead and start this market update. Here is the S&P 500 daily chart, getting a little pullback here. At this point, I think where the market goes is going to depend on geopolitical events that, for the most part, cannot be predicted, at least without inside information. It's difficult to say, but I think personally my strategy is to just find the value where people are not looking, and that's where I'm putting my capital. By the way, quick disclaimer, none of this is investment advice. This is for entertainment only. Some of these positions that I will discuss, I do have personal investments in, so just a quick disclosure there. But what I noticed throughout the last week was a rotation from large cap tech companies into dividend paying stocks. What I noticed, these blue chip stocks, Walmart, Pepsi, Johnson & Johnson, McDonald's, huge companies with relatively meager dividends, maybe 2.5% on average, even lower for some of them like Walmart. So I did notice that was going on in the market. The stocks that I'm personally looking at are none of these, and I'll give you a few um, in a second here that I'm looking at. Let's look at the put call ratio up here at 0.98, so about basically equal amounts of puts and calls. Back when my last video, the put to call ratio was very low. There was a lot of there were more calls than puts in the market, and I mentioned that we may get a pullback. If there's not so many puts, there's nothing preventing this market from dropping, and we did in fact get a pullback, and you can see the puts rose dramatically because of this, and at some point I think there's going to be a lot of puts, and the market's going to want to kind of hold and not trigger all of those puts until they expire. So something to look out for there. Volatility down, kind of holding near 20, kind of a indecision at this moment. Which way will it break? It's hard to say. You'll have to at least kind of well, we'll see which way it breaks, but I think it's hard to predict, at least with this pattern here. It could go either way. China, this is something I've been watching out for. Little consolidation here, big breakout on the 15th of March. This thing has dropped a lot. I think probably this is the type of area where the smart money is getting in, and all of the retail traders, once this thing's gone up dramatically and retraced a lot of this, then people will be getting in. That's just kind of how it goes. I mean, look at this. Is this an ending pattern here? This V bottom with volume? Hard to say, but it could be. I'm looking here at the yuan has been gaining against the dollar basically ever since 2020. And so that's something I'm also keeping an eye on. Will this trend continue? Definitely a possibility here. This is one position that I do hold personally. I think it's a decent value here. Obviously, it has been even better recently, and I'm not a fan of this pattern. If you see here what looks like a Wyckoff distribution, here we're coming up towards this previous resistance, so I'm not saying this is a good place to buy, but value-wise, this thing has almost a 10% dividend. I was listening to the conference call, and Rio Tinto is getting into lithium mining, and if you look at some of these lithium miners, the premiums they're getting are massive from presumably speculation, retail traders, all of that. And here you have just a quality company with a 10% dividend getting into lithium mining, and it's just being treated like some boring company. So anyway, just something interesting. Again, I don't know. Obviously, it would have been better to be buying down here. But this is something that if it went down, I would continue to buy. So that's just my thoughts on that one. Another one on my watch list. Again, this pattern is not my favorite. Looks somewhat like a Wyckoff distribution. Doesn't know which way to necessarily break. But Toyota, before I purchase this, I'm just looking around. How many Toyotas do I see? And they're everywhere. It's crazy. This has around, at the current price, around a 3.8% dividend yield at a 30% payout ratio. So very conservative payout ratio. And I think this company is going to be around for a long, long time. So again, 3.8%, not as much as the previous stock I mentioned, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you hold any of these stocks? What do you all think? Now for the cryptos. Here, before I get into this crypto analysis, I have another clip. I think it's easy to get caught up in these things going to the moon, but realistically, that's not really the point. It is an added bonus, but there's more to it, in my opinion. So I'll just let you guys watch this again. Feel free to skip to the analysis if you wish, but I'll just cut right to it.
These electromagnetic frequencies that people are being exposed to, and they're carrying it around with them in their pockets in the form of these smartphones. You know, folks, don't carry these smartphones with you. As I've often mentioned, I was actually given a smartphone before I left Australia. It's a de-Googled phone, and I never even put a SIM card in it until I went away for 3 weeks. Like a month ago, we went down south to Oaxaca for 3 weeks, and I put a SIM card in it then because I figured I might be in need of internet while I was away. I mean, while I was away, there wasn't even hardly any phone signal, so it was a pointless exercise anyway. But that's the only time I've used the thing. And even owning this smartphone that was given to me, and like I said, it's de-Googled at least, but even owning it, I don't take it with me anywhere. I actually don't take it around. I don't really call people on it. There's like 1 or 2 text messages I've sent on it, and that's it. So, you know, I don't do any of this sort of stuff with these things. You've got to stop using these things, folks. These things are a trap, and these things are also delivering frequencies to you which may not be completely beneficial. I mean, this system is so corrupt. It's a system of slavery. It's done terrible things to humanity. We've been under its thumb for so long. You know, why would you be concerned about it breaking down? The only reason people are concerned about it is because they're so dependent upon it for everyday survival. People, like I keep saying, have lost contact, lost touch with themselves. They've lost touch with what it means to be a real human being. And the goal is for people to completely lose faith in the system, to completely lose faith in their governments, to lose faith in everything that they thought this society was, and then to plead for someone to come along and fix it. That's the plan. That's what they want you to do, which is what Putin's offering you here with his new gold-backed currency and all this stuff. And be prepared to disconnect from the system altogether, because when it does go dark, when it went dark in Lebanon last year, remember the electricity went out last year in Lebanon? It was like late last year. The entire country was out. The internet's gone dark in Russia. The internet went dark for 24 hours in Israel. The internet went dark for a while in the northern rivers while all these floods happened. It's easy for them to do it, folks. When all of our communication and all of our life and all our dependence beyond everything is all centered around the internet, it's really easy to lock you out of everything. And the only reason they can do it is because most of the people have lost their life skills. So that's what this is an opportunity for. And you know, if you're a prepper or whatever, like I said, I mean, we've gone beyond the point of even really working to wake people up anymore. I mean, I've done what I can for the last 15 years. I was trying to prevent this from ever happening, but now it has happened. What are you supposed to do? All you can do is realize that, you know, we're not waiting for the New World Order anymore. The New World Order is already here. They're even having their world government forums to show just how far advanced with the plans that they are. They're even openly calling it that now.
All right, here is the Bitcoin daily chart. A little bit of pressure lately, but the downside does look like it's losing momentum. I mean, this thing, we're basically in a channel at this point. So, I mean, what can you say? We're towards the low end of this channel here. So, I mean, will we get a bounce? Here, the Bitcoin shorts are increasing, so we'll see. It is possible we do break down below this trend line. It could be a false breakout like we kind of had a few times back here. So I would watch these shorts. If these continue to increase, That's going to be your signal that we're breaking down below this channel here. Monero has been doing very well here. I would say on a relative basis in cryptos, this, at least in this sector, has been the strongest performer. We do have a rising wedge though, and these do often break towards the downside, but there are many levels of support here, and the fact that this is going up while Bitcoin has been going down is definitely encouraging. So congrats if you've been in this recently. It's been doing very, very well. Pirate Chain, different story, but I did see a survey about if you had to put how much ever money into one coin, Monero, Pirate, Dero, I think there was one more, what would you put it in? And actually, even more than Monero, people said Pirate Chain. So it's surprising to see with the results of that survey that Monero would be outperforming at this point, but that does seem to be the case. Here we had this all-important basically support line from way back here breaking towards the downside. I still think this will do well in the long run, but at this point we're going to be testing. I mean, really hard to say here. We could be, maybe at least our first target would be around the $1.61 handle here. So that's what I'm watching here, looking for green candles with volume to indicate a reversal. Dero, same thing. I mentioned we would probably test this kind of neckline here. We did test that. We've broken down below the neckline, and like I mentioned, we would be testing this previous support. This is a rather large area here, but after failing this neckline, a red cloud here on the Ichimoku, looking pretty bearish in my opinion. Haven, now this sucker right here, yeah, this one got me. I basically said this is doing nothing. Came up, but I did get the call right on the downside, basically drawing this trend line from way back, and I mentioned, okay, is this just a retracement here, just a technical retracement from this long-term trend line? And this is the line that I drew last week, and wow, technicals aren't always this perfect, but that is beautiful when they are. So yep, that's looking pretty ugly. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know there are people who like this protocol, and if you know insider information, I'm just looking at the chart here. I haven't studied this one too much, but the technicals tell they're worth 1,000 words. So just my thoughts there. Epic Cash, again, I tried not to call anything last week. I said, yeah, it looks like a head and shoulders, but these things are pretty violent and could break out towards the upside. But it does look like we got this kind of wicked, aggressive head and shoulders here. It's pushing towards the downside, so I'm looking at least to retest this previous support area here. Ghost is down to a market cap of 4.7 million, a little below the range of around 5 to 6.5 million. That is a little bit bearish, but you do have those staking rewards, probably around 30% now, so that is a protection from the downside. But I think, yeah, we're probably going to retest previous support levels here. So that is it for the cryptos. If you're all crypto people, feel free to see me in the next one. I appreciate it, everybody. If you want to stick with me, I'm going to go over precious metals and some commodities here. So gold forming a support level consolidation here, starting to go towards the upside, getting some support from this cloud here. At this point, again, I have to always mention this for me is not about price. It's about liquidity outside of the banking system and protection from cyber attacks, that sort of thing, just to have liquid currency and basically protection against issues with the banking system. So we'll see where this goes. A lot of wicks down here, so we did get a lot of buying. We'll see if we break out back above this 1965 level. Similar with silver, they kind of follow each other. We've gotten here silver, though, it looks more like just a downtrend, basically. We didn't form that real support level like you saw with gold. So will we get a rejection off of this basically trend line? That is yet to be determined, but will be interesting to see for sure. WTI coming down, kind of creating this triangle pattern. One thing I want to mention, this does suggest slowing inflation. We're seeing some of these commodities come down. Here, the rare earth minerals, something I've been following. This does look like a Wyckoff distribution, kind of, and we did see that rejection. So this is coming down here, looking to test this bottom area around $95 here. Copper still grinding higher. I think, again, Rio Tinto, some of these other miners, BHP is one with exposure to copper. I mean, definitely there have been better levels to be buying these stocks, but I think the game is a long one. I think the copper game, the resource game, is going to go on for hundreds of years, so it still could be very, very early for some of these companies. Lumber, again, just looking at this as an indication of inflation, we do see this coming down. The home builders are coming down quite a bit, so with interest rates coming up, are these home builders going to struggle in the future? I was listening to some conference calls and they say they're doing well, but you know, will that continue? So that's it for today's show, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to subscribe, give me a like, comment, and let me know what you guys think. Hope you all had a good weekend. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.